Okay, the question is whether they're undocumented or documented, they're still paying taxes. And this is true. We've already talked about it, and I just want to again say that a lot of employers won't hire somebody unless they bring in a social security card or a social security number. So some people just make up social security numbers, or they just have a little card with somebody else's name on it. So they work every day. They're using a different name sometimes, or using a totally made up number, but they are paying into our social security system. It's called the, I think it's like the unidentified Social Security Fund, and it's billions of dollars that just go in and then support the rest of us. And immigrants get undocumented immigrants get no benefit. And in fact, even lawful permanent residents don't get any public benefits until they've been here for at least 5 years. And even then, it's very limited until they become citizens. It's really very, very small types of. Yeah, for the most part, if you are here with a temporary visa or you're a lawful permanent resident, you don't really have access to the same type of medical and social services benefits that citizens get. And even, again, the general rule is after you've been a lawful permanent resident for 5 years, then you become eligible for a few more. But really, until you become a full-fledged citizen, you don't have the same access to benefits.
Take one more question back here, then we're going to have.
And I think that the other thing is that the prices are going to go up again. They've been going up and up for all these,
Yes.
right? For this documentation, and the government charges outrageous. Right now, $675 to become a citizen, and to renew your resident card. Also, they have to renew it every 10 years. On November 23rd, the prices are going up again, and they haven't renewed. And the resident person loses 25% of the benefit of Social Security once they become a retirement. And right now, the difficulty we prepare people for citizens, and they just make it difficult every time. They have to prove that they've been in here, they've been working and living in here for the last 3 years, and present all this documentation, because especially in our area where we live close to the border, they do not issue a citizenship status if you live more than 50% across in Mexico. So they wanted to be sure that you live in this country and you prove it. Sometimes they even 5 years, they have to prove 15 years that you've been living here with documentation. It's very, very, very difficult.
I wanted to make a comment before we get to that lady's question. Back in 1986, we passed the Immigration Reform and Control Act, which a lot of people call the Amnesty Act. I've been working already 10 years for social services at that time. Before that law passed, I never saw false documents. I never heard about coyotes. Coyotes are the smugglers who travel and pass people back and forth across the border. It's a result of the laws that we have enforced that this horrible, horrible syndicate and crime perpetuated atmosphere has happened. Right now, it costs anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 to smuggle somebody across the border in Texas. And I'm sure it's a lot higher if you're coming in from China or someplace else. The other thing that bothers me a lot, especially in Michigan, but it's a law across the United States, we passed a law saying that everybody that applies for a driver's license has to present a Social Security card. For years, we knew who was in the United States, whether they had documents or not that were issued by the United States federal government. If you came in and applied for a driver's license and presented your passport or your birth certificate, and passed a driver's test, you could get a driver's license. We knew who was here. We knew where they lived. They were buying insurance. They were paying for their cars or whatever. So somebody got this bright idea that we should go after all the deadbeat parents, and everybody that applies for a U.S. driver's license or an ID card has to provide a legal Social Security card. Well, Michigan tried to fight it. However, unfortunately, we lost with the federal government. So now, especially in areas like Oceana County, which is still made up of agricultural farm workers, we have thousands of people driving around without driver's license because they can't get one. They cannot get one. And we don't know who's living in our county. We don't have any idea. You know, it's another way of forcing the people to become dehumanized, to go underground. So, you know, I'm not certain that this would be completely resolved with immigration reform, but there are many, many consequences as a result of laws that some person thought was a great idea and passed through our Congress and we made into legislation. So we really, really, really need to look at every law and every proposal to see the consequences, how it's going to affect not only those undocumented, but how it affects us. How somebody that doesn't have a driver's license who gets in an accident with us and our Michigan no-fault insurance, how does it affect us? You know, you really need to be aware of these things.
And I'd like to thank each of the members of our panel, and I think they'll be available for more questions.